Short messages. Short messages. Dianas nikani mkikizela na njo umalash nivuna tete for 2 hours Dianas. Hello, boy. God, listen. Manja. Manja, away to, viva the ANC, viva! Viva the ANC Women's League, viva!
Viva the ANC Youth League, the ANC Youth League, viva! Viva the ANC Veterans League, the Veterans League, viva! Viva the original Mkhonto Wesizwe, viva! Viva the original Mkhonto Wesizwe, viva! Viva President Cyril Ramaphosa, viva! Wathinta abafazi, Otto. Greetings to the President of the ANC, President Cyril Ramaphosa, to the leadership of the NEC of the ANC, the leadership of the Women's League led by its President, the leadership of the Veterans League led by its President, branches of the ANC, of Mpumalanga led by its provincial chair. Today we are here to celebrate an organization that has got ancestors. We are in this full hall of leadership because today is a cake cutting of leadership. This full hall is full of the leadership of structures. Then on the 13th, all members of communities, organizations, sectors will be in numbers in the stadium. This stadium is too small for the African National Congress. Because the African National Congress can fill all stadiums in all 9 provinces and still need more space. Now only Mpumalanga alone, Comrade Manja, can fill this stadium. We don't need the help of Comrade Banyaza. He has an FNB to fill. But today is a day we are not here to mourn but to celebrate. But not only to celebrate the achievements of the African National Congress in the 30 years of democracy. Rakobathu babulela batsilatsila badira mokete wa dikatse nyana. But the picture me konto wa bangwe after 5 years we got picture MKVA ashisha babuwa ka mara mokhatlo mara rere. The ANC is known by the people of South Africa through its track records of delivering services where there were no services. It's only the ANC that put water where there was no water. It's only the ANC that built schools where there were no schools. It's only the ANC that built roads where there were no roads. Built hospitals where there were no hospitals. Built the University of Mpumalanga where there was no university. Those are the achievements of the ANC that we must speak about. We must never shy away to speak about what the ANC has done for the people of South Africa. And the ANC is the first organization to acknowledge also its weaknesses. We do not wait for anyone elsewhere to say that there are problems in the ANC. That's why the ANC have agreed to adopt a renewal program to renew and fix all the ills in the ANC, because the ANC identified that the ANC has been infiltrated by criminals at all levels who no longer deliver what we promised to our people, who think the ANC is their platform of doing their corrupt ways. Is the ANC introduced a step-aside policy as part of the renewal program. A lot of these small parties that have been formed are formed out of a program of renewal of the ANC, because the renewal project can no longer be with criminals in it. The ocean called the ANC is cleaning them out into small parties. Some of them have been defending them for years. Instead, some of those people who are jumping around, they've caused more damage to the brand of the ANC than any other president of the African National Congress. Maybe we must remind them. We must remind them that the ANC spent close to 20 years defending them as individuals. And we must take responsibility as the ANC that out of that defense, we must learn something from it, because sometimes you might think that you are defending and you are building a cult. Because people will think that we are defending them because we are defending the position that they occupied. When we defend President Ramaphosa, we are not defending him as an individual. We are defending the office of the president. The day he leaves the office and does his own things, we don't care. We'll defend the new president. That's how the ANC works. But the president, As we celebrate these achievements of the African National Congress, we must acknowledge that there is a disaster happening in the country, the biggest disaster of youth unemployment. It is no longer an issue of debate, President. It's an urgent matter. Because when the youth of the country are unemployed in majority, they're on the streets of South Africa. They end up doing crime, they end up being on drugs, they are causing more problems. Everything we try to resolve, if you can't resolve the issue of youth unemployment, we are moving backwards, not forward. Now it's an urgent matter that, President, we need to attend to. We need to be selfish, President. We need to utilize our raw materials that we have beneath our soil, given by God, to resolve our socio-economic challenges of this country. It can be, President, that a country, a continent like Europe, that has got no raw materials, but their secondary and tertiary industries are thriving, creating employment for the youth using our own raw materials. We're saying, President, as we celebrate 112 years of the ANC, we're saying we must put export quotas. Not more than 70% of raw materials must leave this country. These raw materials must remain in this country to create opportunities for the youth of the country. These raw materials must remain in this country to be utilized to a program of the reindustrialization program that the ANC has agreed upon. We do have the solutions, which are raw materials we have. We have the soil to resolve the problems here in agriculture. We're saying, President, those are the solutions that we have. Let's be decisive. If it means that they must put sanctions on us, they must do that. Let's use our resources to resolve our own problems. And we've resolved that. We have shown bravery, President, when you attended the issue of Israel. And we're very proud of you, President. You are the most fearless president. The bravery you showed to resolve the issue of Israel is the same bravery we must show to resolve the high level of inequalities in this country. It can be, President, that 112 years later, 30 years into democracy, the demographics of the country, the economy of the country does not reflect the demographics of the country. The face of poverty is still black in South Africa, while the minority still control the bigger parts of the economy. Now, the strong message you must send, President, in 112 is that enough is enough. We've been patient with them. Those who want to be with us must be here to build with us. Anyway, President, those that are drivers of the economy of this country, they are funding regime change. Yeah. Now, there's nothing that we are begging because they are funding for the removal of the ANC out of power. It is clear that the banks, everyone wants to take the ANC out of power. Now, what are we begging, President? We must be decisive. The most important thing that, President, we must move on, as I conclude, National Chair, is that it can be that the financial sector is managed by few monopolies of few banks in this country. We're saying that, President, the Post Bank must be elevated to a bank of choice. The African Bank must be elevated to a bank of choice. And that must be the banks that all the state entities and government must bank with them. Salaries, everything must move to those banks. We want to see these banks that fund the DA, how will they survive? Because they can use our money of the black majority to remove us out of power. Now we're saying, President, let's cut the cake. Let's celebrate. Don't be scared to speak about our achievements and to speak about our challenges. We're saying victory is certain. The ANC will win. The ANC will come out victorious. We'll win all the wars, all the metros. We'll win all the provinces. There is no collusion discussions we're going to because we're going to have enough majority to govern on our own and deliver the manifesto of the ANC. Amandla!
siyabuza awuphendulelo mbuzo baphila nabafazi abevalele mandla amandla viva the ANC viva the ANC viva COSATU viva the South African Communist Party viva aikhuli Sanko aikhule viva the Veterans Leagues viva the ANC Youth League viva the ANC Women's League viva siphilele Ramaphosa siphilele Ramaphosa siphilele amandla kawethu. Comrade Chairperson, the officials of the ANC, the members of the National Executive Committee, our partners, our chaplains, everybody, the leadership of the ANC as a whole that is here. Let me take this opportunity and greet you all. And then say happy birthday to the ANC, happy birthday. I am standing here on behalf of the ANC Women's League in South Africa. I came here to come and affirm that we are beneficiaries of the ANC work since 1912. We came to come and say to our people, ANC is the way to go. Since its exception in 1912, when it defined itself under many other things, it told the people that it is a non-sexist organization. Already ANC indicated that it understood at that time that there's something that needs to be addressed, which is patriarchy. And if the ANC would not be able to articulate its responsibility to liberate women, it would have left the majority of this country behind. We are here today, comrades, to come and raise the fact that you are beneficiaries of the existence of the ANC. The 1943 decision, comrades, that made the ANC to agree that out of all the difficulties, there should be an ANC Women's League that must make sure that within a struggle, there's a struggle, and that struggle must be confronted. And that struggle is still there, Comrade President. The situation of our women is not ready yet. We are saying the 1945 decision, comrades, is making us better as ANC Women's League, as women of this country, because once again, the ANC allowed the ANC Women's League to exist. In 1948, indeed, as members of the ANC, comrades, we were able to be part of our mass democratic movement. And therefore, for that reason, comrades, since that time, the ANC made the point that women are part and parcel of the movement of our country, for us and all of us to change our country. Indeed, comrades, we know the epochs that the ANC followed. We know the fact that when it decided to negotiate, it was fine, but when it decided to fight back, the women were there side by side with our men. AK-47, so hamba so right. We are therefore not apologetic to be here today, comrades, to come and wish the ANC happy birthday, because in its articulation in its national democratic revolution, the ANC called us motive forces, and motive forces are more beneficiaries on what is happening in this country, the change of people's lives where they are. This is why, comrades, we don't doubt that you are members of the ANC. We will die here if it needs be, but comrades, we are not going to die not in our time. We are going to raise the flag of the African National Congress. As we celebrate 112 years today, we must assure everybody that the women of this country, their life where they are, is far better than it was before 1994. Ingabu namanga mangaba uthi umama onobomo bungatshintshanga since the ANC came to power. Ingabu umama namanga if awazi ukuthi ANC benzeleni abantwana bakho. Ingabu umama namanga uba awazi ukuthi ANC yakufakile endlini. Yes, comrades, we agree that there's a lot that needs to be done, but indeed we must confess to say a lot has been done. Comrades, we are celebrating this getting to elections. Akunanto intsha ke makhosikazi Bawuthi elections ukhela ngathi. We are going to be those volunteers on a daily basis, comrades. We are going to get into house to house, door to door. Izinja zisilindile futhi siyakuzo, comrades. Amagate avalwayo sizayawavula sikhambele le-African National Congress. Comrades, those ababhengumya comrades sizobavuselela ngoba bazokhala. Laba nkosikazi babhonitwe ngabhenywa siyabasizela ngoba vele bazokhala. Ngoba i-ANC izobuya embusweni njengoba kwakutshiwo ngo-1912. The ANC exists for it to hold power, to change people's lives and nothing else. For anything that you think ANC can be, you must know you don't belong here. So if you dream to think that the ANC will not be in power come 2024, you are in serious dreams. In fact, ikhanda lakho alisebenzi kahle. Comrades, all those who must go or who want to go, let's say to them, bahambe kahle. Of course, we came one by one here, and we live as such. If you don't know what the ANC have done to you, to change you, kanye wena, ichinje wena i-ANC saze sakwazi ukuthi ubani igama lakho. Without ANC, we wouldn't know who you are. We appreciate that now we know. Now you think you are better than the ANC. And if you think the ANC is going to die because you are not there, you must forget. Comrade President, we really appreciate this initiative that you took upon. It's the first time that we celebrate the January 8th like you are doing. There's a day to cut the cake. It's full here, comrades. There's no doubt. It's full here. It has never happened like this. We want to really thank and appreciate the good work that is done by our leadership here. Sithi amaqobokoza nangalala endleleni kulandelekile. Sikhona, comrades. Sikhona, ANC will do the work. The ANC will come back to power stronger than it was. Thank you very much, comrades. Amandla! Awethu! Thank you very much.
Amanda, silikathile ixesha lakhe because nilithathe ngokucula. So kwanyanzeleka silikhathe eli xesha. Happy birthday to all of us. Happy birthday, ANC. Happy birthday. Uboma mantamculela ubhuti Snoop.
No, don't waste time.
Okay. About the clubs. But man, we better as all of those.
No, we know how to sing.
Zimala.
But you're one of them.
You're very few.
Amanda. Thank you very much, comrades, and happy birthday to all of you, and happy birthday to the ANC. Good afternoon, comrades. Good afternoon, Comrade President and National Office Bearers. On behalf of the Veterans League of the ANC, I stand here today to congratulate the ANC at its 112th birthday. I bring greetings from veterans across the country who last year organized into branches and provinces in July 2023, we held our third national conference. We are now a properly constituted structure, ready, able, and willing to contribute to the renewal of the ANC, to a better South Africa for all, and a decisive victory in the national and provincial elections this year. Comrades, what is this political moment that the ANC faces as it enters its 112th year? We recognize that our economy is improving now after the impact of COVID, while high interest rates and inflation, especially food inflation, intensify the poverty and hunger faced by too many South Africans. In 2022, according to the International Labour Organization, South Africa had the highest unemployment rate and the lowest proportion of informal employment globally. Comrades, the splintering of political parties and the rise of new small parties and individual candidates standing for elections is both an expression and a threat to a vibrant democracy. Most of these new formations don't have a clear policy positions and espouse populist views merely to seeking power for their own interests and to unseat the ANC. We must ensure that we clear up any confusion that is being spread about Umkhonto weSizwe, which was the armed wing of the ANC and whose identity is now being stolen and hijacked. In South Africa, the challenge of political moment is to preserve our human rights and democratic values while achieving economic growth and transformation. Comrades, the ANC is the only political party with solid and sustainable policies and a track record of delivering on them. The effects of COVID and slow economic growth. In implementing these policies, comrades, we must always be guided by the imperative to serve the people and to better the life of all. We have to refute through our actions that the ANC is a political party that is self-serving. Comrade President, an ANC leads is an ANC that can reflect and have foresight. The manifesto review process allowed us to reflect. The forthcoming elections manifesto allows us to exercise foresight. At the 55th National Conference, we outlined priorities of the ANC for the next 5 years, including addressing economic reconstructions, service delivery, crime and corruption. Corruption, comrades, is nothing else but counter-revolution. As the Veterans League, as the ANC Veterans League, we believe that the ANC election manifesto must focus on these priorities, and the promises we make need to be principled but practical, ambitious but humble, and above all, we must not overpromise our people. In addition to a quality election manifesto and grassroots campaigning, it is a strong belief that Veterans League, that a credible national and provincial candidate list is our best chance of winning an outright majority. We are all aware that the ANC Constitution makes it very clear that engaging in any unethical or immoral conduct which detracts from the character, values of the integrity of the ANC is an act of misconduct, and as it brings the organization into disrepute. The appointment of any ANC members to higher office, even though such members have allegations of corruption or unethical behavior against them, will definitely undermine the support of the ANC. We must be certain that those implicated in the Zondo Commission, VBS, and other commissions appear before the Integrity Commission as instructed by the NEC way back in April 2023. If not, they must be processed by the National Disciplinary Committee of the ANC before the nomination lists are finalized. We repeat, comrades, that this must be done before the nomination lists are finalized. If we achieve this, Comrade President, we will certainly regain the confidence of the electorate once again and will go behind 51% during elections. We welcome the changes that have happened so far, including the screening of potential candidates to ensure that they have no criminal records, no allegations of financial mismanagement, malfeasance, or gender-based violence against them. We are making sure that whoever is being nominated to be in the provincial or national list must not have a criminal record, no allegations of financial mismanagement or malfeasance or gender-based violence against them. We as the veterans, Comrade President, we have been on this journey with you and will definitely continue to do so. Currently, we are part of developing an intense political program by the Oliver Tambo School of Leadership, focusing on the values, principles, and ethical leadership of ANC members. As a Veterans League, we're an integral part of the ANC. Veterans embody the organizational experience and institutional memory of the movement and the people's struggle for freedom and democracy, and are required per the preamble of our Constitution to play an important role in reinforcing the traditions, history, values, and unity of the movement. At our recent conference, comrades, we recommitted ourselves to ensuring that every veteran of the movement belongs to a veteran and an ANC branch, and thereby in all ANC structures of the ANC. Since then, we have been very active in key areas of work of the ANC NEC, including political education, the local government intervention task team, and we are part of a team that developed the ANC political framework on coalitions at local governments. Comrade President, the ANC Veterans League is committed to driving the implementation of the ANC renewal program and actively participate in the election program for victory of the ANC during the coming elections. Comrades, we should not feel threatened by those who are leaving our ranks because either they have been subject to our disciplinary processes or fear them. Let us remind each other of the words of our revered leader, Comrade Oliver Tambo, when he said, I quote, "Beware of wedge driver. Watch this poisonous tongue," close quote. Comrades, to continue to live and lead, we need to intensify the renewal of the ANC. In addition to weeding opportunists and thieves from our ranks, we need to rebuild the ANC structures from branch to provincial and national level so that we can more effectively reconnect with our people, listen to them, and take forward their aspirations. Internationally, we are witnessing tragic conflicts, genocide committed by the Israeli government against the Palestinians, the Ukrainian war, and Sudan, amongst the others. We are seeing the devastation of lives and livelihoods as a result of climate change. When you look beyond our borders, comrades, we should be grateful that South Africans are led by an ANC government which observes human rights and has taken the matter of genocide in Gaza to the International Court of Justice. Thank you very much, Comrade President, for your team. We commend the general public for the solidarity it has and continues to show for the Palestinian people. We also applaud the role that South Africa has played in addressing climate change and leading the way at COP28 to ensure that more is done by developed countries to address the loss and damage they have caused in developing countries. This is the principal role that we should continue to play in the international arena, honoring our long history of reciprocal international solidarity. Comrade President, in a January 8th statement in Mangaung last year, you said the following, I quote, "Central to ANC roadmap is the understanding that the ANC will only succeed in realizing its strategic objectives when it confronts its subjective weaknesses and successfully transform itself into a renewed, responsive, modernized, well-governed, well-resourced, ethical, we say ethical and caring and effective political formation." On this 112th anniversary of the ANC, we recommit and commit the Veterans League to continue to join hands with the ANC and the alliance partners to intensify our efforts to achieve a non-racial, non-sexist, and a prosperous country. The ANC lives and the ANC leads. Amandla! Maatla! Thank you very much, comrades.
What did I think? You just to pull off.
It's 10 minutes. 10 minutes. 10 minutes.
Ayibambe kancinci nje. Ayibambe kancinci. Ayibambe kancinci. Ayibambe kancinci. Ayibambe kancinci, ayibambe. Now we're getting to messages from our allies. For people who do not take note of this, you will see the order of the allies reflect the ordering of the alliance every day, everywhere. You don't order the alliance as you like. You start with Sango, you go to Kosatu, and you go to the party. One day we'll tell you reasons and details for that. You don't change when you like, you put this one this day and another the other day, all the time. Now we're going to ask the president of Sango, Comrade Klope, to come and give us a message of support as an ally.
Bopa, comrades, Bopa. Comrades, President, compatriots, SANCO members, alliance partners, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. Happy birthday to you, ANC. SANCO is the youngest in the alliance, born in 1992, 21st, but today we are the third because the ANC has just been born. Thanks for this opportunity, comrade, to celebrate with you this occasion of ANC. Happy birthday. The ANC has weathered a number of storms, comrades. We have just integrated as SANCO. The ANC was not also born on the 12th, it was integrated because we had ANC in provinces. But the real birthday of the ANC, yes, it is the 12th. Today, comrades, as SANCO, we want to inform you that we have started our program to campaign for the ANC. Yesterday, we were at Kwamhlushwa with ANC DSG. They could see we are on the ground. We told you that we were like the ANC at some point. We've been in exile, being isolated from the alliance partners. But we were on the ground. We remain on the ground. So we are inviting all of us here, comrades, to come to the ground. Yeah. Mobilize people for the victory of the ANC. Yes. I want to tell you our resolution, National Conference resolution, says that leaders of SANCO up to the level of branches, street committees, must campaign for the victory of the ANC. What we are going to do, comrades, we are going to meet as the NEC and take a serious decision. Because there is no leader, on that one I'm firm, even if I don't come from the NEC, there is no leader from SANCO that will be allowed to pronounce the mushrooming political parties. Any leader who said so will be dealt with accordingly. We do deal with shenanigans. We are in a serious revolution, comrades. But all of us, comrades, as an alliance, as SANCO, we want to make a call, comrades, in that at times like this, comrades, it is not an easy time when we are supposed to defend the gains of the revolution, while we're also admitting that us terribly wrong. We can't pronounce that, comrades, as revolutionaries. I say history has given us an unenviable task of rescuing the organization. We must rescue this organization. Enemies are growing on a daily basis. So we must close ranks, comrades. We must close ranks, comrades. We would like us to look deeper, comrades, at the negative and misguided single narrative that is manifested through negative reporting, litigations, opinion makers, or so-called political analysis, and certain non-governmental organizations. We must watch those enemies. Comrades, it is true that in our country we are witnessing the manifestation of words of the vile Nazi era propagandists, Goebbels, who once said, open quote, a lie that is repeated 1,000 times becomes truth, close quote. Our enemies or distractors, comrades, have mastered this art of using every opportunity to demonize and cast aspersions on the governing party, and the response from us, comrades, have been worse dead silent. We warn you as Abahlali because this ANC belongs to us. It doesn't belong to leaders of the ANC. SANCO is the leader of Abahlali. We will never mislead Abahlali because Abahlali owns this ANC. It cannot be correct, comrades, that our movement is defined by a single narrative of being this corrupt and inefficient government And this false narrative is internalized and accepted as truth, not only by the anti-revolutionary forces, but by some of our comrades and beneficiaries of ANC pro-poor policies. Because I can tell you ANC policies are pro-poor. We benefit as Abahlali, comrades. I cannot emphasize, comrades, the danger of a single narrative or story, especially as we head towards the 2024 elections. One of the greatest contemporary African writers, Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie, warns us of this single story where she says, normally you don't quote women, I'm quoting women here. She says, open quote, single stories often originate from simple misunderstandings or one's lack of knowledge of others. But that these stories can also have a malicious intent to suppress other groups of people due to prejudice. Close quote. This is very true, comrades, and resonates with our context whereby peddlers of lies and single narrative are openly declaring that the triple BEE has failed and should be scrapped. It is the same people who are calling for the scrapping of social grants, saying that the country cannot afford them as they are unsustainable. Thanks to the ANC government for providing these, comrades. We salute you. Now, comrades, we are saying these detractors of characterizing our movement through the single story and channel messaging. Goebbels will be smiling in his grave when he hears such cheap propaganda and lies being told many times, such as the ANC has done nothing for the people for 30 years. As Abahlali sihlala ezindlini ezakhiwe ANC, we've been to other countries. Ayikho country yakhela izindlu abantu mahala. It's only the ANC. The ANC ifaka ugesi yazawufaka endlini ezinodaka emakhaya. Ngeke ukubone lokho kwamanye amazwe. So, comrades, in a nutshell, I'm saying to you, comrades, as we go to the ground, let us disabuse ourselves first of this single narrative and believing the lies being told by the likes of the DA many times until it appears as if it is the truth. The danger of this narrative, comrades, again, as Adichie rightly pointed out, it prejudices black people in general as incompetent and not fit to govern, which is not true. The long-term results of this single narrative will be the new form of apartheid that is already emerging, where the former oppressors are openly declaring that black people cannot be trusted either in business or in government. Therefore, comrades, so I'm saying, comrades, lastly, as we get ready to consolidate our revolutionary gains through the ballot box, let us tell our story with confidence, with humility, and honestly. We will be leading you, comrades. Thank you very much.
Hayi kaume kanime wo siyayazi uba niyifuna ngenkani le unit kanime siyayazi vile uba niyifuna ngenkani. Uprovincial chairperson weCOSATU Comrade Manini kawusondela. ICOSATU kabangayaziyo iCongress of South African Trade Unions. Bakhona abantu okwenza bayazi uba yintoni iCOSATU. the Congress of South African Trade Unions.
Sovonagele tambo batengisa ngathi. Sovonagele tambo batengisa ngathi sizobane komzuzu baphume baphele sizobane Away, two. All power. This was for Comrade Undosi. We got cool outside. I don't know what was going on in his mind. The ANC leadership, NEC members led by the president himself, the South African Communist Party led by the provincial secretary, Comrade Laki Mbuyane, Sanko NEC leadership, including the province led by the president himself, COSATU CEC and PEC members, because we also have CEC members here. By the way, I have full authority to speak on behalf of the CEC because I'm a CEC member. Our traditional leaders, special greetings to our spiritual leaders, Progressive Youth Alliance, Nonke, all the leagues of the ANC. Revolutionary greetings on behalf of the CEC of COSATU and the PEC of COSATU in the province. Happy birthday, ANC, happy birthday. Program Director, Chairperson, COSATU has multiple and good reasons to celebrate 112th anniversary of the African National Congress. We are saying this, and I would summarize, Comrade Kwete. Amongst many reasons, the ANC-led alliance ensured the liberation of the oppressed against the brutal and savage apartheid right-wing regime led by the National Party. ODA Babakhona, we remember, they are part of that. And yes, of course, truth be told, after our liberation post-1994, our lives are better. I'm just confirming what was said by the president of the Women's League, including that of the Youth League. Having said this, comrades, yes, as COSATU, we regard ourselves as the worst critics of our ANC because we want the ANC and we expect the ANC to do better for the working class, especially the poor. Now, this is the ANC that was led by very good leaders, and amongst them, Umamawi, Nyaboslovo, and you name them. There are many. Their wishes was to see the ANC changing the lives, especially the poor, for the better. And that's what we expect from our ANC, hence we will criticize the ANC. Comrades, yes, we do have some grievances. And some of them, many of them has been alluded by the president of the Youth League, Comrade Malachi, and I'm not going to bore you by repeating them. And we communicate that. Our leadership nationally, including here in the province, we communicate that, those grievances, and we always work together with the ANC to address those grievances. But this is not time to focus on our grievances, because there is an external enemy here. Those that want regime change. And this is not going to happen under our noses as workers, organized workers of South Africa. Because workers are not confused. We understand why we found ourselves in this alliance, and those reasons hasn't changed. But this external enemy only wants regime change. And the first thing that we know as workers is that the intention is to reverse all the gains Mfundisi Moyane that we have achieved since 1994. And that will happen singekho emhlabeni. Anybody that wants to deal with the African National Congress, you see, this alliance, if you take it like Abantu Abawu, and ANC is one of them. If you want to kill the ANC, you will not achieve it until you kill COSATU. You will have to start with this formation called COSATU. You will have to kill Sanko. You will have to kill SACP before you reach the ANC. COSATU is determined to defend the revolution. COSATU have what it takes to ensure that the African National Congress wins convincingly so the 2024 elections. And we are not being arrogant when we say that, President. I know in Mpumalanga we are expected to give 75%, Comrade Chirwa, and we agree we are going to get that 75% and more. We are aware that it will not come on a silver platter. We have started with our work as the Federation. You might not see us. We are already at workplaces. We are already volunteering workers. More and more workers will be joining us to go and mobilize the entire society, because we know that we are the first beneficiaries when the ANC wins these elections. To those that left the ANC, including recently, we want to advise, as I move to my conclusion, one old wise man, not so long ago, advised or cautioned that it is cold outside the ANC. We want to confirm that. And the President, as you grow older, literally, amakhaza asheshangene. So we plead, comrade, this organization is not about individuals. When you have been given an opportunity to lead any of the alliance partners, respect and appreciate that, so that you hand over the baton. Once you hand over the baton, respect the ANC and its decisions. So we will meet you in the trenches, like Ubabo Paulo Jordan, Comrade Jordan said, we'll see you or meet you in the whirlwind, Ozoetoli COSATU. President, I can't leave this platform before I confirm, because COSATU has requested me to do that the alliance in this province, according to COSATU, things has changed since 2016. The Provincial Alliance Summit, you were here, President, as the Deputy President then. The situation has changed for the better and is changing as we move forward. That is why we are confident that together we will successfully defend the revolution. Let's continue, comrades, to build and strengthen the ANC and alliance partners. Let's continue to renew the ANC, because that's what we support, so that we have that ANC that was led by Obaba Tambo. Viva the African National Congress, viva! Viva! Long live the ANC, long live! Long live. Tata Ramaphosa, tata! Tata, tata Buffalo, tata!
Now, class meeting in kuphethe mna.
Okay.
Class meeting in kuphethe mna. And if all anybody dele into bakuphethe mna kakhulu meeting. When there's a meeting, I'm in charge. Mamelani ke. Ukomrade Mbuyane, usekretary wephondo weparty, uzawuthetha apha. Kodwa ndifuna umfakela ipreface encinci yokuthi mna ndingumkwati mos. Niyazi loo nto? Niyazi into yoba ndingumkwati? Now thina makwate ke sizinkosi. Abantu mamele zonke abantu bathetha apha. Akho nomnye acknowledge ezankosi. I-colleagues zam. Eza colleagues zam zizinkosi azacknowledgewa. Kuthulwe nje. Funeka baphinde ba-acknowledge ndim ndiyenye inkosi. All I'm raising, ukuthi apha kule card caking. Apha kule card caking. Yes. Kukho neenkosi. Thina ke zinkosi. Nazi colleagues zam. Ezinye inkosi zize apha zosika icake ne-ANC. Nazi sizihloniphe namhlanje, sizihloniphe Saturday, sizihloniphe forever. Now, mamelani. Kodwa ndicinga uba lo irresponsibility kapresident not mna. Inkosi zinkulu kakhulu. Zazikhona pha eMangaung kufuyiswa i-ANC. Zazisa iinkomo, zaxhelwa iinkomo, and then everybody ate kwi-launch of the ANC. So irole yazo kufuneka singayi-undermine. So president, lo role ndizayishiyela wena. Ngoba inkosi zinkulu. Ikhona enye ekuthiwa ngumashilo. Inkosi. Umashilo, inkosi. Ikhona apha ku-ANC. So inkosana zininzana apha ku-ANC. Zininzana inkosana apha ku-ANC. Sizawucela ikhosathu isinike i-message of support. I-Communist Party. I-Communist Party nekhosathu are two sides of the same coin. I-khosathu is organized workers. I-party is the revolutionary vanguard of the working class. So you can't separate the two. Xa befuna usimosha banento yokuthiwa yi-left axis. Yabona bathi xa bethe nge-left axis uyazi bafuna usimosha ke ngoku. Kodwa
Mandla wethu Matimba Matla all power. Viva the Revolutionary Alliance, viva. Viva the Progressive Youth Alliance, viva. Viva the Veterans League, viva. Viva Contra Lesa, viva. Amandla Pansi ngamasela pansi. Down with corruption, down. Forward to socialism, forward. Thank you very much, National Chair. You know, the advantage of speaking at last is that all the points that you might have wanted to raise are already taken. So that allows you to speak very few minutes and sit down. Comrade Chair, allow me to greet the leadership that is present here. The NEC led by the President of the ANC and the President of the country. COSATU led by the Provincial Chair. SANCO led by the President. The ANC Youth League led by the President. The Women's League and the Veterans League led by their presidents. Let me also greet the faith-based organizations that are present here. Allow me to greet the Contralesa in our midst, the media houses, all comrades that are present in this event of cutting the cake. The cake. Busikwal cake. Indeed, Chair, we feel really honored to be invited in this festival of ideas as a South African Communist Party to come and share our views with the African National Congress. We are really proud about our decision that we took in the 1929 Black Republic thesis of forming an alliance with the African National Congress. Indeed, a revolutionary alliance that is leading a program of the National Democratic Revolution. This is the program, Chair, that always brings us together as the alliance. The question that always remains is how do we build socialism through deep political and ideological approach to also deal with the social reproduction and the crisis facing our country. It means to say, Chair, we need to build a new cadre for our movement to face the current challenges, as these are just symptoms. The triple crisis, Chair, are just symptoms of the realities of South Africa. The realities is what we characterized in our NDR as race, class, and gender. Those are the realities of South Africa, which this revolutionary alliance must be able to deal with them so as all the other crises that we're having can be resolved. National Chair, we are confident as the South African Communist Party, and we are happy that the ANC is turning 112 years. We have confidence that the African National Congress will be able to deal with challenges that are facing South Africa as we are speaking now. History has taught us that the private sector or monopoly capital does not have capacity to deal with issues that are affecting the working class and poor people. All what they are able to do is to maximize profit more than anything else. The development of society, the economic growth that must emancipate the working class and poor people is never an issue to monopoly capital. It is for that background that we are celebrating the growth of the African National Congress in this event today. Comrade Chair, we want to raise that as a South African Communist Party, we are here to give a message, but also further commit that the coming elections, we, the South African Communist Party, shall be supporting the African National Congress to win the 2024 elections. And we want to call upon all communists to come to the front, all communists to come to the battlefield, defend our ANC and defend our hard-won democracy in this country. Comrades, but it's a khulume. Chair, our support as the party is not on a blank check. We support the ANC to contest these elections through a reconfigured alliance, so as the policy formulation and policy direction can be a responsibility of the alliance. We currently have political power in South Africa, and we think the political power must be utilized to change the lives of the people in our country. In actual fact, President, when you are given power, you need to operate like you are in an emergency room, especially in the South African realities. A comrade that is given power must operate like he or she is in an emergency room. You should be able to utilize that power to deal with the question of poverty, unemployment, and inequality. Lastly, Chair, want to say to this cutting of the cake ceremony that the lesser we talk about MK Party, the better. And I was saying this, Chair, because Mao Zedong will say, quote unquote, a revolutionary last week and a revolutionary yesterday, and that revolutionary decide to betray the revolution today, he or she becomes a counter-revolutionary. Irrespective of credentials that you might have, if you decided to betray the revolution, then you are a counter-revolutionary. It does not matter whether you have 82 years, whether you spent more than 60 years in the revolution. If you decided to betray the revolution, then you are a counter-revolutionary. So what we know, comrades, as the South African Communist Party, akuyona le MK emkokotelo khulunywa ngayo namhlanje. They were facing a difficult moment, and we have to choose whether we need to fight or submit. I thought comrades are going to respond. Whether we need to fight or submit. And the MK that we are knowing are those comrades that are coming from the real MK. And want to call upon our soldiers to stand up and defend the gains of MK in this country. There should be nobody who's going to steal our history, who's going to steal all what we did to form MK, where the South African Communist Party was involved through Jozitube to ensure that we're having MK today. Our comrades must stand up and defend MK. There should be nobody who's owing VBS money. There should be nobody who told us when Shabir Sheikh was convicted that he's waiting for his day and go to tell us what happened and make sure that he's not found guilty. That he must now use the revolutionary movement to divide it so as he can defend his narrow personal interest. There should be nobody that is allowed to do that. Sizomkonfronta, and at the right time, sizomtshela who he is, because when it was favoring him to lead this revolution, we stood up as a South African Communist Party, went to fetch him from Kanda and say, come and lead the revolution, we are going to defend you. We made him a president of the ANC and the president of this country. But today, when other people must lead, he's jealous, he wants his own people to come and lead this revolution. We're not going to allow that, comrades. Comrade Chair, lastly, I want to say the South African Communist Party that you are on the ground, we are mobilizing masses, we are clarifying the revolutionary moment and its impact to our masses, and want to commit that we are going to defend. Come 2024, we'll come back as a government of South Africa, whether they like it or not. Thank you very much, comrades.
Uzamosha wena. Amanda. Izandleni zabantu. Uphethe umhlaba ngaye. Amanda. 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 So that was a simple goal. We're going to bring the cake. Kaizayo Saukulu, happy birthday. Unfortunately, my voice is wounded. I can't lead the singing because of my wounded voice. I can't help it. But ideally, I would sing happy birthday. And I'm coming against the cake. So because the cake, when it feels the heat. That is before the president starts speaking, the cake must be here. So, Happy
Cola. Happy birthday. Happy birthday to you. Ole, ole. 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 Happy birthday.
Yeah.
Happy birthday to you. Ole, ole. Happy birthday. Happy birthday to you. Ole, ole. Happy birthday. Happy birthday to you. Ole, ole.
You wounded, yeah.
I keep wondering how do you make such a big cake so they
It's
join
3
them?
blocks.
Oh. It looks lovely. My God.
Those are 30 cupcakes.
Oh.
30 cupcakes.
Pun intended. Pun intended.
Pun intended.
Wait. Umone ubhlashisa kithi. Ubone ubhlasha.
Abayeka basafort. Bayeka.
Oh, why is that the cupcake?
Say 30,
Oh my
bona.
God, pun intended.
Bona.
Sabona.
Yeah. Umanana uphethe le nto uyoze uphathe namakhekhe ngokwabo.
Ubani?
Umanana. Ngisiye ngathi uze ngathi uthanda ukuba. Siyeke le.
Amanda. Amandla. Masivule babone nabanye. Masivule. Comrade Masivule. Molo Kenzani. Kenzani. Sasekani. Happy birthday, Sasekani. Yeah. Can you vula comrades? Vulani comrades. Yeah, fun. Comrades, can you vula galog naban bafuna uyibona cake le? Not only camera people want it. Everybody want to see it. Okay. Comrades, we are going to call on the president. Go to Alendoza remarks by the president. And ask your remarks by Benjan. Because the remarks let us hear the president. We will attend. And we will. The president knows going to remarks. Umahluko but we remarks next speech was. Thank you very much. There's the ANC, 112 years, 112th anniversary. It's difficult to get 12th anniversary, 112, it's a lot. Comrade President, please talk to us.
Amandla! Viva ANC, viva! Viva COSATU, viva! Viva SACP, viva! Malibongwe! Igama lamakhosikazi! Roar, young lions, roar! Forward with the ANC Veterans League, forward! Amandla! Forward with Sanko, forward. Program Director, National Chairperson, who was acting earlier before this function, before I arrived and the Deputy President arrived, he started acting as acting president. And he was most elated by that moment that as I walked in, he said, "Why did you come?" Because I was enjoying myself as acting president. Deputy President Paul Mashatile, the national officials here present, Deputy SG Mokonyane, First Deputy SG, Deputy SG Marupini Ramokgopa, Treasurer General Gwen Ramokgopa. Chairperson of the ANC here in Mpumalanga, Comrade Manda Ndlovu. Members of the National Executive Committee, members of the Provincial Executive Committee of Mpumalanga, and various other leaders of our structures, PECs who are also here from other provinces, the leaders of the SACP, of COSATU, SANCO, and of course, the leaders and presidents of the Veterans League, the Women's League, and the ANC Youth League, and the leaders of the Umkhonto Wesizwe Liberation War Veterans of the ANC. And Mbulise Ngibingelele namakhosi ethu and the leadership of Contralesa who are here with us. I'm very glad ukuthi we have our traditional leaders here. Tomorrow I will be spending time visiting our traditional leaders, and we will be spending the whole day with them. And the DP will also be spending a whole day with other traditional leaders as well, as will other officials. And comrades and friends, this is a happy moment. And I'm glad, ukuthi, much as it is a cake cutting ceremony, which we usually have in a very small tent, you decided to have such a big tent and you filled it. Comrade Manda. Igcwele le tent. It's house full and siyabonga. Usually when January 8th is on a day which is not a Saturday, we have a small ceremony, but today we have a very big one, siyabonga. And I also want to thank distinctly the ANC Women's League members who are here full in their regalia. And sebahle. And nabesanko nabo bayabonakala ukuthi bakhona lapha. Today we celebrate the anniversary of the 112th year of establishment of our beloved liberation movement, the African National Congress. This is the oldest liberation movement in the world. Ayikho enye esondela eduze kwethu in terms of the age. Ngisho ukuthi ne Communist Party of China, ne South African Communist Party bayazi ukuthi they are younger than the African National Congress. So we are delighted out, but isanko yona, it admitted ukuthi yona is much younger. So this is a glorious achievement by all counts, and it has been made possible by the dedication, the discipline, and love that millions of our people have continued to show to the African National Congress. African National Congress's presence is wall to wall. Noma we are Wupi from the east to the west, from the north to the south, you will always find the ANC. ANC everywhere you go. We are Tanda, Noma Autandi, you will find the African National Congress. We will hold our real anniversary rally this coming Saturday, right here at the Mbombela Stadium, and we expect thousands and thousands of our members, of our supporters, and our people to come to celebrate with us this very important moment. In a little while, we will be cutting the cake, Swenza isika lokhekhe kube mnandi. Yonke into yehle kahle kube mnandi. It is so because the ANC belongs to the people of South Africa. We exist as the African National Congress to serve our people, and our mission remains the betterment of the lives of the people of South Africa. From our inception at the Vryhoek Wesleyan Church in Mangaung, Free State, on the 8th of January 1912, the ANC, then called the South African Native National Congress, has always fought to bring people together to fight against oppression and for the liberation of South Africa. So the ANC boldly asserts that we have not wavered from our pursuit of the National Democratic Revolution. All our programs, all our initiatives and actions are targeted at putting in place a united, non-racial, non-sexist, democratic and prosperous society. This brings to mind the question of what is the essence of the ANC. Yini kahle kahle nge-ANC. What is it about this ANC? The ANC was formed to deal with the terrible existential condition of black people and to serve the people of South Africa. Usilupe Tema in 1953 wrote in Drum magazine and gave what I call a succinct account of why the ANC was formed. He said the conditions under which Africans lived and worked, particularly in the northern provinces, he said, shocked Pixley Kaisa Kaseme and stirred in his mind to take action. In those days, the black man, that's what they refer to people as, was treated as a beast of burden. He was knocked and kicked about with impunity. In the magistrates' courts, his voice was hardly heard and his evidence hardly believed. He was stopped at street corners by policemen demanding the production of his pass and his tax receipt. He was not allowed to walk on the pavement and had to dodge motor vehicles in the streets. He was not allowed to travel first or second or third class on trains. He traveled in trucks almost similar to those used for cattle and horses. His education in primary schools, which were few, did not go beyond standard 3 and not beyond standard 6 in the training school, which were only 2 in the Transvaal and none in the Orange Free State. Politically, he had no voice in the making and administration of laws. Economically, he was kept in a state of abject poverty. These briefly were the conditions, he continues to write, under which the African people lived and labored when Alfred Mangena, Pixley Kaisa Kaseme, D. Monsiwa and Msimang, a group of African lawyers, returned to South Africa from overseas. Their blood boiled as they saw the injustice and humiliation to which the African people were subjected. And in their patriotism This made them see a vision of a united African people working together for their salvation. That's how Selope Thema described the conditions that led to the formation of the ANC. As we gather here, it is important we should understand the reasons why the ANC was formed. It was formed precisely because of these existential conditions that African people were exposed to. But secondly, it was also formed to promote patriotism. Even as black people, the majority people in this country, were being rejected, were being treated as non-South Africans, they still have the deep quest to be seen as patriots. They had patriotism that was driving them, and they were able to put the country first and not their own interests first. The country came number one, and their own interests came last. The other important thing that led to the formation of the ANC was to promote unity. And Selope Thema continues to write that on the day the ANC was formed, he says it was a gathering of tribes that had never met before except on the battlefields. It was a gathering of chiefs, intellectuals, religious people, ordinary people who had never ever seen each other before. And you can imagine the scene on the 8th of January 1912, when people who had never met before, except a few, got together at the Waihoek Church and decided to form this gigantic organization that we are all a part of today. They had come from the 4 provinces and the High Commission territories. Some had come from Swaziland, some from Lesotho, some from Botswana, which was called Bechuanaland, and some from as far afield as Zambia and today's Zimbabwe. It was a gathering of, yes, all those people who had never exchanged views before. It was a gathering, if I may say so, of the departed spirits, he writes, of the African race, among whom were such men as Sandile, Ushaka, Mushweshwe, Kwechwayo, Moroka, Hama, Sikukuni, Soshangana, and Ramabulana. So these were the people who gathered. As we gather here today, we are people who know each other. They did not know each other, but they had this great vision that could be crafted to form this organization. So vision was another important thing that brought all of them together. And they started crafting a clear vision of the type of South Africa that they wanted to see. And over time, this vision crystallized in a number of documents, the African claims culminating in the adoption of the Freedom Charter. But the other important thing is that they then took action. They acted. And as they had formed this organization, they took action to put into action the words, the resolutions, and the decisions that they had taken. They acted through deputations, through pleadings, through speeches, through representations, through programs of actions, but then they started becoming bolder and bolder. When the Youth League was then formed in the 40s, when a program of action was adopted. And then they started protests and boycotts in the 50s. That resulted in a real collective action on their part, and then they started pushing the apartheid government to its very limits. That resulted in brutal responses from the apartheid government, which resorted to the most brutal ways of trying to stop the people's march to freedom. They resorted to killings, to jailing many people, to treason trials, to exiling a number of people, including Comrade O.R. Tambo. They embarked on house arrest. Umama Winnie Matigizela Mandela was put under house arrest. Umama Albertina Sisulu and many others were put under house arrest. They were banned. There were detentions without trial. There were judicial executions. Solomon Mahlangu was one of those who paid the ultimate price through being judicially executed. But there were also bombings to neighboring countries. There were massacres of enormous proportions. The Craddock Four we can think about, Bishop, Patong, Belt Hook, and many others. Through this, they thought that they would kill and stop the idea of freedom amongst our people. Led by the African National Congress, the spirit of freedom and the ideal of freedom never died. But little did they know that our people's quest for freedom had ossified into an ideology. You can never kill an ideology, even if you kill the movement that subscribes to the ideology. We see such happening in other parts of the world today. When this was not heeded, they resorted, our leaders, our forebears, to armed struggle. And the ANC was then called a terrorist organization. It was a whole wide world ban on the ANC as a terrorist organization, but the ANC sustained the quest for freedom and embarked on 4 pillars of struggle: the underground, the armed struggle, international pressure, and mass mobilization. And much of it had adopted the new methods. Much of the leaders had adopted the new methods, and they were ready to engage the enemy on a whole number of terrains. And as the struggle, both international, as many countries started realizing the justification of our struggle, they then started turning around and imposed sanctions on South Africa, on apartheid South Africa. And the mass mobilization in our country, led by the mass democratic movement, obviously the underpinning organization was the African National Congress behind all this, although it was banned. It was the ANC that then decided that we now need to open another terrain of struggle, which was negotiations. The strategy of negotiations finally worked, and a breakthrough was achieved in 1993 when a beachhead was won, leading to the adoption of the interim constitution. Now, throughout this entire period, comrades, the ANC was in the steering wheel. The ANC, which has now existed for 112 years, was the leader of this whole process of enabling us to achieve our freedom. And that is why those who think Ogoti, the ANC can be airbrushed out of existence, Ogoti ANC ngakuchwa that easily, bayaphupha, because it's not going to happen. Amaphupho kuphela because the ANC, which has led this whole process, has embedded itself in the hearts and the minds of our people. And through trial and tribulation, through ups and downs, we were able to prevail as the African National Congress, and we were able finally to overcome the 342 years of colonialism and apartheid. And it was only a breakthrough that we achieved in 1994. A breakthrough, comrades, that's how we characterized it. Sati, this is not a victory. It is a breakthrough. We have reached a beachhead moment. We have reached a point where now we can now march to greater achievements as we move on to improve the lives of our people. And the ANC prepared itself for all this after 1993 by crafting good policies that were meant to undo the damage that was done by colonialism and apartheid government. The ANC started getting ready, for it knew what the people wanted. It knew and it felt the pulse of our people. And then the leadership decided that we must now get ready to govern. And the Ready to Govern document was then drafted, was conceptualized. Now, after 30 years of governing, the ANC-led government has changed South Africa from what it was in 1994 by Atanda Noma Abatandi. The ANC has changed this country. As the 1994 ANC victory was a breakthrough, much still remained to be done. The outcomes census of 2022 and some objective studies, because there have been others who have done studies, some of which were released by our biggest detractors, those who don't particularly like us. All of them point clearly to the fact that the ANC has succeeded in changing the lives of the people of our country for the better. We have succeeded. We succeeded first in prosecuting a struggle for 82 years. From the time we were formed in 1912 to 1994, those were the years of struggle. It took us much longer than it took other countries. Other countries took a much shorter period. For instance, in Russia, it took them a much shorter period to get the Bolshevik Revolution to succeed. In China, the Communist Party of China, they started in the 20s, and then they succeeded in 1949. In Cuba, they also started much later. It took them much shorter. It took us much longer because we were arraigned against a formidable enemy. We were arraigned against an enemy that had support global countries. So we were waging war, not only against the apartheid government, but against many other forces globally. And that we were able to turn them around. President O.R. Tambo waging the international struggle, turned them around, was in itself a great victory. And thereafter, we went on to win many more victories. And it is for this reason that we say we have succeeded in waging our own struggle. We have also succeeded in changing the lives of our people. Now, when the ANC speaks of uniting the people of this country, we do so secure in the knowledge that we are the organization best placed to unite the broadest cross-section of people behind the cause of building a better country. When you look at all these other organizations, zonke lezi ezivelayo ezinye oDonald Duck and so forth, zonke lezi ezivelayo, you can't begin to think of a single one that will be able to unite a cross-section of South Africans like the African National Congress. It's only the ANC that can do so. Now, our track record of building broad fronts in support of the cause of liberation and against the apartheid regime is the biggest example of the movement's capacity for building unity across different lines. Our principled commitment to ending a number of conflicts and having dialogue, even with our enemy, is another characteristic that stands us in good stead. Comrades, as we celebrate this birthday, we must pause. I do want us to pause and honor the lives of those who fell in the struggle in the last 112 years. There are many people who we owe our freedom to, and sometimes we never pause to think about them. We never pause to take off our hats to them and say thank you. Thank you for engaging in struggle. We never pause to say thank you, President John Langalibalele Dube. We never pause to say thank you, Mama Lillian Ngoyi Siyabonga, ukuthi you sacrificed so much so that today we can enjoy this freedom. For that, I want us to stand up and honor those who struggled to get us where we are. Let's stand up and observe a moment of recognition in silence. Sige sithule sithi cwaka. For a minute, sikhumbule labo who died for our freedom, who suffered in jails, who were hung, O Solomon Mahlangu, O Vuyisile Mini, and many others. Those who died in exile, those who died in prisons, the Craddock Four, Buipato, and many others. Let us pause for a minute and remember them, and then quietly say thank you for what you did to bring us to where we are today. And say thank you to the African National Congress for leading this struggle to where we are today and making this country a better country. Maskoba Makanda, Sibulele Gulabo, Abasikokela, and who sacrificed. Thank you. Mr. Lepas. Comrades, what we have just done is an important tradition. And National Chairperson Usase Uslalo, Wale organization for the next few years, let this be a tradition. We do observe a moment of silence. Situle siti kwaka, sikumbule labo who suffered. This morning, we had occasion as NEC members, as well as provincial leaders, to go around the province on the revolutionary pilgrimage. This is a new tradition that we have also introduced. Uguti on January 8th, moment or week or so, we will go in the province where January 8th is being held. We will go to our former leaders, either departed or still living. We will also go to their families and go and pay homage and go and pay our respects. And yes, we will go to the graves of our past leaders. And this morning we went to various places. I had the privilege of going kwababu Inos Mabuza. And saya emdeni wake, and we saw his wife as well as members of the family. We then had occasion to go to the gravesite, to go and put a flower, to have the grave cleaned and put a flower or flowers on the grave. And this was quite an important sacred moment for us, to remember those who have contributed to our struggle. And we were, in a way, besishugumisa matambo, we were shaking the bones. And as it is said in Ezekiel 37:7, Comrade Nomvula ngiyayazi iBhayibheli, 37:7, kuthiwa ushukumisa matambo, get the bones to shake, and that the spirit must then come in. And we did that so that we can gain inspiration. Inspiration from having gone there. Inspiration from spending a moment with the families. And so that for us was an important moment. And it's important that we then had breakfast with the families, as you heard. Comrade Speedy Mashilo was reading out the names of the families, of those families who have contributed, whose members have contributed. And we thank them. Such as Siyabonga, Uguti, you sacrificed so much, the members of your own families, and enabled them to come and serve the nation. So we thank those who have come before us. And today the ANC has worked very hard from its first ANC-led government. It has worked very hard from its very first day in office to begin the process of changing the lives of our people. Now, those who crafted Census 2022 testified to that. And the president of the Youth League was giving an account of all that. And I've been very proud to listen to young people, as articulated by the president of the Youth League, ngoba usasemncane wayengekho when all these things enzeka. Kodwa he has a very good grasp of what his organization has done, how this organization has changed the lives of our people. The other day I went to where my grandmother used to live, right in the rural areas, where there was never any thought that there would ever be electricity there in Limpopo, or any form of running water. Today, they have electricity in my grandmother's house. Today, they have running water in my grandmother's house. And comrades, this is the case for 95% of our people. We are the only country on the continent, including a number of countries outside our continent, in various places, Asia, South America, and so forth, who have a penetration of electricity up to 95%. The ANC, which has done that. We have our literacy level. When we got into power, the literacy levels, the literacy levels was very low. Now the literacy level in our country is about 89–90%. Abantu bethu bafundile bayakwazi ukufunda. It's happened because of the ANC. When you look at ages 15 to 24, the literacy level is 100%. Our young people know how to read and write. Yes, there is a challenge of imisebenzi. We know that that is the main challenge, and that is why we are working so hard to create job opportunities, and that is why we also welcome and listen to the proposals from the Youth League, from the women of our country as well, as to how we can empower the young people in our country through getting jobs, how we can economically empower the women of our country as well. Over the last 30 years, the ANC has made tremendous strides in empowering women. The president of the Women's League standing here, she says they are beneficiaries. The women of our country are beneficiaries of the policies that have been adopted by the ANC itself. Masicabanga kahle le 50% representation beyingekho nala kwa ANC. Ikhona manje, there's no structure that will not have 50-50. If it's there, it's an illegal structure. So women have been empowered. And at the same time, the empowerment has gone beyond even just the ANC. In Parliament, the ANC is the most representative one when it comes to gender parity. And there aren't many parliaments in the world where there is such a greater representation of women in their top structures. And we have also enacted laws of employment equity, broad-based black economic empowerment, and those have enabled women to have greater access to employment, business, and investment opportunities. It is our duty to challenge employers to ensure that women receive equal pay for equal value of work as well. There must be equality in payment in the private sector especially. And if there is inequality of payment in the public sector, Letanama report, because we will make sure that there is equality of payment amongst women and men as well. So we want to encourage the private sector to also take steps, even better steps, to empower the women of our country. We are, and this is one of the great successes of the ANC-led government, we have taken the challenge of gender-based violence with both hands, and we are making progress. We are committed to eliminate gender-based violence as it affects all of us. Our organization is unapologetic with regards to support for the LGBTQIA+ community. We are also in full support of enabling people with disabilities to get positions, and we are saying, oh masipala bethu, oh provincial government bethu, even at national government, employ people with disabilities, including people who are living with albinism. Let them get in. We are the only organization that champions the cause of those people. We are also a democratic organization, and we are here as the ANC to protect democracy. Internally, we continue to perfect our processes of electing leadership and representatives for legislatures. Now, as comrades are aware, these processes are not without their own challenges, but we continue to attend to these challenges. We adopted at conference that people who have been charged should step aside. That was a conference resolution, and that has led to the improvement, internal improvement of electing people. We now need, as Comrade President of the Veterans League, to extend it to public representatives as well, so that at that level we must be sure that we are going to be led by people with integrity, and we must deal with corruption and really deal with corruption in an effective way. The renewal and rebuilding of our movement is beginning to bear fruits. We are beginning to see it. We continue to focus on rebuilding branches and other structures to improve their functionality. A few months ago, the Youth League, for instance, had gone on for years without a legitimate national and provincial structure. The Youth League has gone to its conference. That is why a president of the Youth League can stand here confidently and articulate the views of young people. And that message is spreading around the country. The Women's League also needed to go to conference. It has gone to conference. The Veterans League, ngisho sengisho ukuthi nesanko ivukile isanko and siyabonga. So that, comrades, is the process of renewal. We are renewing ourselves. The process of dysfunctionality and disunity in the ANC was making us weak. And now I can testify that we are much stronger now. The ANC is much stronger than it was a few years ago. Labo abayitelelayo ANC abakaboni lutho bazosithola kahle because we are stronger now. As the Mpumalanga province said here, the Mpumalanga province has become so much stronger. There is so much unity, and that has spread to other provinces as well. And that, comrades, is the work of renewal. The leadership here in Mpumalanga is united. We can see that, and we can see in the level of how the branches function as well. And the same is spreading throughout the country, and others are also going to come into the crawl. Now, Bebabe as strong as that. So the lifeblood of the ANC, comrades, is our people. We must, as the ANC, remain rooted in the 112th year of our existence. We must remain rooted in our communities, for we were founded to serve our communities. And it is for this reason that the ANC has been and will continue to strengthen its efforts to ground our organization where it truly belongs. And we will continue, comrades, to protect and to strengthen our democratic institutions in all areas. And the ANC government will work harder to strengthen a number of areas that are challenges at the moment. It could be crime and corruption, because that is an area where we need to strengthen our resolve and demonstrate to our people that indeed we are prepared, willing, and ready to solve these problems. This morning, as we were leaving the homestead, Mama Mabuza, I met workers from Lily Mine. They were standing there with placards, and they were saying, President, sisasene problem yase Lily Mine. And then they asked a question, ukuthi President, sizavota kanjani uma sisasena le problem? Ngoba le problem izasivimba ukuthi siyovota. So I said to them, nge problem yona le which we are addressing, ngathi former acting president for a moment uzawuya as Minister of Minerals and Resources, uzawuya ayobabona. And then I said to them, yes, this is a problem, because there are problems. There are many problems. It could be load shedding, it could be a problem yamanzi, it could be a problem yemgwaqo, it could be a problem yokungasebenzi and so forth. Ngeti, that one problem, and there could be two. It should not make you say that you are not going to vote, because if you don't vote, then you don't strengthen the very organization that is doing many more things. This organization is doing many more things. It has led in ensuring that abantu bethu 18 million people bathola ama grant. It has ensured ukuthi nale 350 noma incane iba khona for 11 million people. It could mean ukuthi abantwana batholi iNSFAS. if you weaken this organization. Ngoba la amanye amaqembu asazi ukuthi bona whether they will have the determination that we have heard, the bravery and the courage that President of the Youth League was talking about, whether they'll have it to continue solving the problems of our people. We have addressed to solving those problems from 1912, getting the freedom, changing the lives of our people. And today, City Masikube, even as we have problems, this is the only trusted organization that can make sure ukuthi the problems are solved. And then I said, Minister Mantashe uzawuya lapha eLili Mine to go and see further how those problems can be solved. So we are proud, comrades, that as a democracy, we've been able to hold 6 free and fair elections. We will do everything in our power to ensure that the upcoming 7th national and provincial election is also successful, because we are a democracy. You know, when the whole world looks at us, they look at us with envy. But you South Africans have succeeded to have the best constitution in the world. You have succeeded to build a democracy where there was no democracy. You have succeeded to have human rights where there were no human rights. We are a reference point to the whole world when it comes to the issues of human rights. But we are also a reference point in terms of making a stand on a matter of principle to struggle, to support the struggles of other people who are subjected to exactly the same challenges that we had. The people of Palestine today are being bombed, they are being killed, and there is apartheid there in Israel today, and we were duty-bound to stand up and support the Palestinians. And that is why we have taken the government of Israel to the International Court of Justice, ukuthi bayoziphendulela, because there is genocide lapha Israel. And we do this, comrades, we do this, and some people say it's risky. We are a small country, we are a small economy, bangasuka basihlasele, kodwa we are saying we stand on principle. And we were taught by the father of our democracy, who said our freedom will not be a true freedom unless the people of Palestine are free as well. So that is exactly what we stand on. So we were taught by the great Nelson Mandela, and that is why we support them. And that is why our foreign policy has become as progressive as it is now, where even in very faraway countries, we're able to make an intervention to act out the principles that we were taught. We were taught that negotiation is the best way to solve disputes. We were taught by O.R. Tambo, the great Nelson Mandela, and many others. They taught us to resolve disputes through negotiations. That's why we packed our bags and went to Ukraine and Russia to go and plead for peace. And that moment is forever recognized globally. Ogoti South Africa, together with other countries, African countries, came out in support for peace and making sure that the people of those countries also live in peace, so that the impact that that war is having on us is lessened. A prosperous society is one of the key visions that the founders of the ANC had, where people's lives would be better. And that is exactly where we are following in their footsteps. Whilst prosperity is measured in economic terms only, the ANC sees it in broader terms. We look at prosperity in a broader perspective, because a prosperous people are people who are free from poverty, and the ANC government has done tremendous work over the last 30 years to free people from poverty. I made a statement last year and said that we have reduced the incidence of poverty from high levels, and it is coming down. And it is coming down, comrades, because almost 60% of our budget is to address poverty, to support the lives of our people. And other people then challenged it. But you know, President Mpumalanga, ANC government has not reduced the incidence of poverty. They went to an organization ababizwa fact check. And fact check yabuya yati no, President Mpumalanga, the ANC-led government has indeed reduced the incidence of poverty in South Africa. And not many countries can claim to have achieved that. So in what ways have we done it? Our policies have been pro-poor. As the comrade Wekosatu was saying, they've been pro-poor, and we have done a great deal, for instance, in the provision of grants. I don't know of any other country on our continent that has committed itself so much to 18 million people who receive grants, young and old, as well as an additional 10 million, if you like, who get grants of 350. And today, all those people are assisted and supported by our government. And I've already dealt with issues of water and electricity. Electricity is still a challenge, let's admit that. Load shedding is still a challenge, but we are going to solve a problem, your load shedding. We are bringing more and more megawatts onto the system, and Nina Lapa Mpumalanga, the whole nation needs to stand up and thank you for being the province that lights up the whole country. Siyanbonga ngama power stations wenu. Sifanele ukuthi wherever we are, uma umbani ukhanya, siphakame sithi oh Mpumalanga siyabonga ukuthi nisenzele umsebenzi omuhle kangaka. So ngiyabonga Comrade Mandla ukuthi ukhona ugesi ekhaya la ngiphuma khona. It's due to Mpumalanga. So the other area, and I just want to end on this one, because sometimes we don't look at that. You see, this organization that was founded 112 years ago was founded by largely educated people. Bebefundile oPixtika Isakaseme, o Solplaiki, o Babum Simang, and Omangena, and many others. They were highly educated. One of the areas where this ANC has really achieved a great deal is to ensure that we improve the education levels of our people. It's still a journey. We still have to embark on this journey, but one of the areas where we have succeeded is to ensure that we have free education at primary level, is that we feed 9 million children every day as Kolwe, is that we give 800,000 young people at university and colleges bursaries, mahala most of the time, is that saqala grade R. Grade R that we started, we are beginning to see the effects of grade R. Because as they say, you've got to educate a child when they are still young. When they are still young, you do so. In other countries, but in Finland, starts educating them at 2 months. 2 months, they start early childhood development. The other important progress was to take early childhood development, crash, to bring them under a basic education. That too has been one of the phenomenal progress areas that we have achieved. And so, comrades, this ANC government, in focusing on improving the lives of our people, we're also focusing on economic issues, on issues of land redistribution, of issues of getting more and more black people into being active in the economy, redistributing resources, and in a number of areas, progress is being made. Now, Comrade Zamani Saul, kulaba bafundayo emaphepheni, asked the question, is 30 years enough? Is 30 years enough to erase the impact of colonialism and apartheid, which lasted for 342 years? He raised that as a question, and then he referred us to a number of other countries. China, in eroding what was done badly in the past, they've set themselves 100 years. But it is only in 100 years that they will believe that they will have achieved a moderately prosperous society. In Vietnam, they did the same thing, and a number of other countries. Tina, we have, after 30 years, a good record of showing what progress we have made. After 30 years, notwithstanding the challenges that we have, and we do believe that if we take that measure and say in 30 years, we've been able to have almost 78% of our people living in formal houses, having so many of our children in schools, and all the other things are counted. It basically means that, yes, we have made progress. Is 30 years enough? My answer to that is 30 years is not enough. We need more time, but at the same time, we must continue working and dedicate ourselves, which is precisely what we are doing. So this we can only do if the ANC remains a trusted servant of our people, continuing the partnership between the ANC and the people to ensure that we do in the end achieve the national democratic society that we all want. So we look forward to continuing with this work. And comrades, that is the message that we are going to be taking to our people as the election campaign intensifies. Yes, we will say, look at our record in the last 30 years. If you like, you can look at it in a shorter period. You will find that the ANC has done well. It has the experience to do well. It has the leadership to do well. It has the structures, and it's not an organization yomkokotelo eshayelwe ngeyipikiri recently. The organization eyempela. It's an ANC that leads, and it's an ANC that lives. As we enter the campaign, the message that we will be putting out there is, yes, we see all these other parties that are coming up and have come up. We are prepared to take them on. Asibasabi. Asibasabi. And sizobangena. And sizobafaka endaweni yabo. Ngoba asisabi lutho, we fear foko. Sizawungena kubo. And comrades, let's have that spirit. Ukuthi we belong to a great legacy of an organization that was founded 112 years ago. And today we celebrate this great legacy and we say, happy birthday, African National Congress. Happy birthday. Amandla. Amandla. Ngiyabonga.
Amanda. 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 The temperature in Mpumalanga is 42 degrees. The temperature is 42 degrees. So the cake is open up at Tafileni, it melted. Now what we're going to do is I'll tell our officials, the ANC, the Jozitube, the Women's League President, the Youth League President, the Veterans League President, Isango Isnike President, Ikosatu Isnike Chairperson, SACP Isnike Chairperson, Ikontra Lesa Isnike one person. Abe Fundi Sebasnike one person. Abe Fundi Sebasnike one person. Stella Niepa. Yeah. I asked not to talk to a caucus. The caucus ANC, the caucus was officials. Although creative authority can pay me and a coin. Obi. Ukuna create the authority can pay me and a coin.